welcome into your daily Buckeye Blitz for a finally Friday, December 22nd, 2023. We are so close to Christmas, I can taste it. I can taste the tinsel on my teeth. I've been eating tinsel. No, just kidding. Hey, don't forget, hit the buckeyecast.com. If you don't get what you want for Christmas, buy it yourself. That's what I always do. My wife does pretty well on the gift buying side, but it's always something that she misses. So I go out, buy it myself. It's easier, order it online or whatever the hell. So yeah, check out the buckeyecast.com. Everything is still on sale. So as we're getting closer to this bowl game and stuff, I did want to do a recap of what Ryan Day had to say from the press conference Wednesday of signing day there. He talked about a lot of stuff about coaching changes, all the recruits, and then getting ready for the bowl game and stuff like that. So let's kick it off. We got a long one here. That's what she said. Hey, up first, you had Jeremiah Smith and Edric Houston provide a little drama during the press conference. He had to duck out a couple times and take calls, but ended up going in the Buckeyes' favor. And of course, he was all fired up about Aaron Nolan being the quarterback lover that he is. So let's start off with the recruits, Deontay and Devontae Armstrong. How do you feel about that?
Feel strongly about the Armstrong twins, the year that they had, coming from a great program in St. Ed's. Obviously what they did as a team this year, and they led the way. Guys have been tremendous in terms of their development throughout their high school career, and you're seeing them play their best football, and we're very excited about them.
Great. Next up, let's talk about Mylan Grant.
We recognized him early on in the process. Brian did a great job of building that relationship up. We think he gives us a lot. And it has a really bright future ahead of him.
Okay. And what about the tight end, Max LeBlanc?
Is, at the Baylor school, his family is from Canada and Montreal. Really talented young man, came down from Canada, and had to make the transition to a school where he was on his own, but really did a great job when he was there. His film is tremendous. We think he brings a lot of versatility to the team.
And how about the safety from New Jersey, Jalen McLean?
Jalen McLean, safety from Seton Hall Prep, another guy that had a great year. His team had a great season, in a position of need. He's a guy who's very productive in his high school career, certainly had a great senior year.
What do you see in Aaron Nolan?
Is somebody who is special in a lot of different ways. The way that he conducts himself, the way he handles himself, and he has, very high end. He's very athletic, and he's going to be the leader of this team.
How about the running back, James Peoples?
James Peoples is a dynamic running back who, again, has had a great high school career. He can do multiple things. He's strong. He's going to be a dynamic player, and I think going to make an impact early on his freshman year.
And what do you like about Aaron Scott?
Aaron Scott was a huge addition for us. Aaron, Tim Walton did a great job recruiting Aaron. He had a great season this year. He played quarterback when he needed to. They started off, kind of rocky this year, and then brought their team all the way to the state finals. Big time player out of the state of Ohio. That's going to be a big part of our future.
What do you think of Gabe Van Sickle, the offensive lineman from Michigan?
Gabe Van Sickle's another one that, we looked at late. Justin evaluated him. We see a really athletic guard who could possibly move into center, but very athletic and has a huge upside.
What do you like about Bryce West?
Bryce West is out of Glenville. Bryce, we offered early on in the process. Coach Ginn was a big part of the process, and he's one of the best corners in America. Huge addition to the back end.
Oh, and Demarion Witten, the versatile tight end.
And then Demarion Witten is listed as a tight end, but he can do a lot of things. He played wide receiver recently in the U.S. Army game down in Texas and had 3 touchdowns, was the MVP. Really dynamic, out on the perimeter. So,
All right. So let's talk some bigger picture things. What do you think about offensive and defensive line recruiting? How do you feel that's fallen short?
No, I mean, we try to, identify the guys that we think are the right fit for us, and we go get them. I'm really excited about the guys that we have. We think that, they really fit well with what we're doing on offense. And you have them in camp, you see them in camp, you see what they're going to do, and you project into what they're going to be. And then, ultimately you have to fit, the needs that you have. So, we always want to be the best in the country, and I think we have a great group coming in.
And will you look at staff changes, the coaching staff?
Like I said to you before, we got this bowl game to play, and we're always going to evaluate it. And if there's any updates, then I'll give them at the right time. But we're always going to evaluate it after every season and go from there.
And how is it to recruit quarterbacks in this era?
Yeah, I just think that the way things are now with recruiting, there's just a lot of twists and turns along the way. I just think about when, even 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, somebody would commit, and the timing was their own, but then that was kind of it. You moved on. Now there's twists and turns along the way for a lot of different reasons. And so, you just have to work through those and figure out, who's the right guys for you at the time. And then, fill your 85, and that's what it is. But, there's a lot of twists and turns along the way. And now you have the high school class, then you have the portal, and you have different parts to make sure your roster's right.
What will it take for Aaron Nolan to compete as a freshman?
Yeah, you don't know till they get in and just how quickly can they learn the offense and get used to it and learn from their mistakes. You can't replace experience, but some guys just, you just see it early on. They can handle the information. They can handle, what it takes. And, most guys, it takes a little time to get that figured out. A lot of guys want to come in and play right away because it sounds good and they're anxious, but that always isn't the best in terms of their development. But each guy is unique, and we get a better idea once we get going with spring practice.
And so let's talk about the running backs, James Peoples and Sam Williams-Dixon. Can they come in and compete right away?
Yeah, it may need them to, depending on, Trey. And right now we're at 4, and we like to be at 4 or 5. But the plan all along has been for those guys to come in and play as freshmen. So, wanted to get them at mid-year to get them in here and get going. And, we know that we've done that before, with some freshmen. So excited to see them get on the field, and we'll know pretty quickly.
All right. Back to the coaching staff. What do you look for? How do you evaluate your staff?
Yeah, we the first thing is, recruiting. That's the number one thing. You got to recruit your position. It's your job. You're the head coach of your position. You got to make sure that, that room is strong, year in and year out. We have a certain amount of depth that we have at each position. And then, it's your job to make sure that you have, the best room in the country. I think that's the other thing that we talk about a lot. And when you're at Ohio State and you're coaching, the wide receivers, it should be wide receiver you. If you're coaching the linebackers, it should be linebacker you, because this is the best place in the country. And so I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is how they perform on the field. What type of production are you getting out of your unit? And a big part of that is the development. When if you're recruiting really well and then you're developing your players, then usually you're going to get production. And then the last thing is just, what are you bringing schematically to the table? What are you putting your guys in a situation to be successful? And that's our job as coaches.
Right next door, Jeremy.
How do you see the landscape of the NIL time we're in?
I mean, I think that's a long conversation. I think there's a lot of different ways that we can look at it. I think, the biggest thing is, you just have to adapt to the landscape that's going on. I do think that, like you said, there's just been so many changes, and college football adapts very, very quickly. I mean, the way it was a year ago is not the same. The way it was 3 weeks ago is not the same. It is constantly changing. And so, we just have to adapt at a high level. But, we certainly all need to sit down and figure out, how we can, move forward in a direction that, like you said, has, guardrails and, what that all means. I think that's a challenge in college football because, if you put a bunch of coaches and ADs in a room together, they all come from different areas of the country. Their schools are very, very different. So I think, that part of it is a major challenge, but the number one thing right now is for us to adapt and move forward.
What are you looking for when it comes to making up a roster between portal and recruits?
I just think right now it's roster management across the board and all the things that come with that. In making sure that, you have a team, not a bunch of individuals, but also making sure that, you're advocating for your players and they are getting what's fair. I think that's the big balance right now, and making sure that you're building something that's sustainable. I think that's all really important.
Is Larry Johnson retiring? Inquiring minds want to know.
It's funny. Guys have brought that up over the years in recruiting, but he's young. He's, in terms of his approach every day, he's got a lot of energy, and he wants to continue to coach. And, the guys in the room love him. And so, he's still got a lot of energy when it comes to coaching, and he still has a passion for coaching. And, his wisdom, his experience is the best in the country. And our guys know that. And they certainly, people recognize that in recruiting.
How do you feel about evaluating the roster in December?
I think, you have different waves along the way, and, you can, as you're winning games and things are going to the season, you can feel that, and certainly, when you lose a game, certainly around here, it can take a toll on you. You got to regroup and move forward. But, one thing we're not going to do is panic and overreact. I think that's easy to do in today's day and age with, social media and things that can come into play where, people can feel like, we need to overreact and panic. We're not going to do that. But at the same time, when things need to be changed and things need to be addressed, you got to address them. And that's the bottom line.
How do you feel about defensive line recruiting?
I think when you say, cast a big enough net, I think so. I mean, we recruit from coast to coast, when you look at our roster just across the board and, where our guys are from. And, I think we're looking from coast to coast. You look at, I guess, in our D line now, you got a guy from Germany, you got a guy from Seattle, you got guys from different parts of the country. So I think, we're looking for the best we can possibly get and the best fit. And so, I mean, Jack Sawyer's from right down the street. We've got guys from Ohio, and I think everyone wants to come in and develop, at a high level. But I think we've done a really good job, like you said, in the O-line of identifying those guys and having physical guys that are going to come in and work and and want to be at Ohio State and become veteran players. So I mean, two different positions, but I feel like we are casting that net, and also developing.
Do you feel like Ohio State's being left behind in the transfer portal?
No. We have a handful of guys that have to make some decisions here, and that plays into all this because, as things, things affect other things. And so now, if there's somebody there that we think fits right now, we'll jump on it. We've had some guys that have already visited, and but we have to make sure that not only can they help on the field, but also they're the right fit for a lot of different reasons. And so, we have an opportunity to have a really good group come back next year. I mean, and so, that all plays into this, but, we're all over it. We've had some guys visit, and we're going to keep pushing towards it. Cause again, there's just, in the past you had your recruiting class, you added those guys in it used to be February. Now it's December. And then, that was pretty much your team. Now there's just so many more variables at play. So, we're just going to keep taking it 1 week at a time. And ultimately, we want to have the best roster in the country in August.
It's been a rough day at the Woody. What are you looking forward to?
I mean, the first beer is going to taste good. I can tell you that right now. Yeah, well, whichever one's the coldest.
So with NIL and early signing day, what is the constant in your process?
Yeah, I think relationships is the number one thing. I learned that early on in this process. There are more and more variables every year. There's more things that go on, but it comes down to relationships, and everybody's different. You know, you look at the guys that we have from all kinds of different states, different backgrounds. But again, I go back to they all want the bright lights. They want to be relevant. They want big. And when you come to Ohio State, that's what you have to think. And you got to want all of that. And I think that's the common thread that runs through these guys. Everybody's on a different timetable. Everybody goes through it a little bit differently. But ultimately, they all get here and end up, starting fresh.
And at the very end here, we got word that Edric Houston is a commit to the Buckeyes. How do you like Larry's effort, Coach Johnson's effort on landing the big man?
Yeah, so I'll make sure I'm good. Yeah, so we can talk about Edric. Yeah, I said the word. Edric Houston. Really, really excited about Edric. This is somebody, Larry worked hard on this one. Comes from an unbelievable program down in Buford. We feel like he's an impact player day one. And it's a long process to get the signing day here, but we identified him early as somebody who was a difference maker. And again, I give Larry a lot of credit for the relationships he built down there. Tim Walton's a guy from down in Georgia who did a great job in this process as well. And his family and his coaches have been huge in this process. So that was a big one for us for sure.
All right, folks, that's Coach Day. Sounds pretty upbeat. He's looking forward to having a beer tonight. So talk to you tomorrow. Oh, wait. No show Saturday or Sunday. I got Christmas shopping to do. My wife is really hard to buy for. So no blitzes Saturday or Sunday. No live show Sunday night. I'll be back Tuesday with a blitz. Obviously, Monday's a holiday. I got to take some time off. Anyway, talk to you tomorrow or Tuesday. Go Bucks.